desert looked towards the sky, guiding his eyes down towards the land he now called ZZYZX.
How many balisongs have you owned that came in a handcrafted wooden and magnetic box with top-tier lubricant, a cleaning cloth, a handmade leather sheath, and a digital download code for a 45-minute-long album created by the designer of the balisong that documents the lore behind it?
ACIDWRX ZZYZX.
I would gander that most of you would say none. But with the ACIDWRX ZZYZX, what a name, for the low price of $1,000, that experience can be yours. But the market of balisongs is more diverse than it's ever been. Decent butterfly knives can be had as cheap as $50 to $60 these days. So why would you or me ever spend $1,000 on a single knife? Especially one that's the designer's first attempt at making one. Well, we'll get into that. $1,000 is a ton of money, especially for me. I consider myself a relatively frugal person who loves to find deals and get the best bang for my buck where I can. Aldi, praise be to Aldi and everything that it stands for. Shop at Aldi. You're worried about grocery store prices? Go there. It's so much better. Oh my. And I'm unbelievably blessed to say that I didn't even have to pay for Grail level balisongs like my Medusa, Seraph, two Cygnuses, the Fun Chucks, the Butter Knife, you know, grails that everyone wants. So what could have possibly possessed me to spend nearly $1,000 on a single butterfly knife when I already have, they're not in that direction, so many? Well, joke's on you, sinner. I didn't pay with money, I paid with time, blood, sweat, tears, pixels, camera movements, advertisements, capitalism. And part of me would do it all again because the ZZYZX is an absolutely just unmatched bundle of excellence, craftsmanship, and great accessories, and some of the weirdest things that I've ever experienced in my entire natural-born life.
The year is 2880.
And the other part of me realizes that $1,000 is a lot to spend on something that's CNC machined in relatively large volumes. My journey with the first three variants of the ZZYZX, the Incept, the Abyss, and the Lazarus, started at Blade Show 2023 when we made a video with Paul, the designer and the distributor for the ZZYZX. He's a fascinating character and an awesome person that you can tell just how much he enjoys this hobby. And it was actually the day after we filmed that video that I got to extensively flip Paul's personal Incept model of the ZZYZX outside of the main Blade Show vendor area. And that's where I just got to sit with him and have a long chat just about life, about balisongs, about everything he's working on. And that's where I really got to feel just how unique it was, and not being in the middle of the very busy Blade Show floor really allowed me to appreciate how unbelievably good the sound of this is to me. So fast forward nearly 8 months later, and I struck up a deal with Paul. I wasn't, and I'm still not, really in a place where I can comfortably spend $1,000 on one of these, but I've been actively dabbling in creating balisong videos for more than just this channel. For example, you may have seen the brand and employee highlight videos that I shot and edited for Squid Industries, and I also did some maintenance tutorials that I shot and edited for MachineWise. So we struck up a deal. I'll provide professional photos and videos of all three ZZYZX models and create a full promotional video in exchange to be able to keep one. And with the way I price my services, that came out to about $1,000 in work. And Hot Dog Paul absolutely delivered and sent me all three ZZYZX models and said I could just pick whichever one I wanted to keep. And of course, that sounded like a plan to me. You can watch that promotional video on Paul's Instagram at ACIDWRX right here. And having three of these to sit in the corner of my office imitating Gollum as I gawk over each one of them was... Is that enough branding clone energy for you? Huh? Is that good? Am I in the clear? Pure butterfly knife bliss. And with all of that, it may seem that I'm gonna be just super biased towards this thing, but I'm not really, because those videos took me a lot of work. I easily put more than $1,000 worth of work into those videos and those photos and all that. just to be able to own this, and I have a lot of positive and negative things to say, and they're in my skull. They're in my brain. I could scoop them out with this, but I won't. Not because I'm not a fan of gore, because I'm a fan of going off script and having no idea where to go from there. But when you're spending this much on one butterfly knife, of course, how well it flips should factor into how good it is. But this price range goes far beyond just a simple price to performance or bang for your buck kind of conversation. The ZZYZX feels less like a product and more like an experience. This is not a just comes in a box with a little sheath and some spare hardware type of experience. Oh no. So yeah, the box, Paul hand makes every single one of these, and having had 3 of them in my possession, you can definitely tell they are all hand done by him, especially when you just look at all the little details. My Incept is number 92, and you can see 92 on the box. And inside that box, you'll find the ZZYZX wrapped in a cloth, sitting in a handmade leather sheath that's very nifty. And the craftsmanship here is like genuinely good. This is real, for sure, real leather. It smells like real leather. And outside the box, you get the carbon honey lubricant, the pin, and the cleaning cloths. Most of that doesn't get much use outside of the cleaning cloths and the amazing sample of carbon honey, which is by far my favorite lubricant. It's just nice and thick, and it makes everything that I oil it with just sound so much better. I lubed it right before I started shooting, and never gets old, man. So yeah, the box and the sheath are cool, but they're not something I actively use. They're really just something to put on the shelf and admire, or just sit there and have fun with the magnetic box system. Okay. Nope. But now for the ZZYZX itself. Every time I pick it up, I get a mixture of satisfaction, curiosity, fear, and bewilderment, which is probably everything that the ZZYZX album was intended for the user to feel. Specs-wise, it weighs in at 4.3 ounces with channel grade 5 titanium handles, an S35VN blade with a bushing pivot system that makes tuning easy, T10 Torx pivot screws and T8 Torx Zen pin screws, and stainless steel washers. All of these are high quality materials that you're gonna find in a lot of other balisongs in this range. Perhaps the first thing you noticed about each ZZYZX model are some of the most unique blade shapes in the whole hobby. All of them are intended to have more weight focused at the tip, which I can attest helps a ton with carrying momentum with fanning. You got that ring too. For example, here's a Volt Pro live blade that I think fans pretty well, and I can get to like there. And this just goes. And the S35VN blade is great quality, very sharp, and I haven't had the heart to intentionally dull it, which means that flipping it is extra spicy. The blade is machined well, and I haven't had any issues with tuning or tolerances on the blade, though some people have, and I guess it was a headache for Paul to sort out the first run of these, but mine's from a newer batch, and all 3 that he sent me were top notch. The handles also stand out in their own unique way. The texture on the outside edges in particular looks pretty damn cool to me and makes it pretty damn grippy, like almost too much in some respects. The design really resonates with me, and the long cutouts here mean that it literally resonates in terms of the sound that's produced. Let us get some of that sweet carbon honey in there. Oil boy joke somewhere. Sorry, this isn't that kind of video. Maybe next time. Freshly lubed, here we go. For comparison, here's that Volt Pro again, which I think sounds awesome. I love a good clack, but this is just... And to be clear, I don't generally enjoy balisongs that ring. The Squid Trainer V3.5 has a ring that I literally despise. But this is a blade ring that tends to ring a lot longer and be a lot more high pitched, whereas this is a handle ring, which means that it's a little bit deeper and just less awful. And I love it so much that despite my undying devotion to Zippy Balisong, who makes 3D printed balisong mods and accessories and all that good stuff, including mods for the ZZYZX, I cannot bring myself to buy any of them because it eliminates the ringing sound, and I can't have that. So this just might be the one ring to rule them all. Just kidding, this is literally the one ring to rule them all. This might just be the one ring to rule them all. Wow, and then it it didn't. There it is. Ooh, little children, come get your moist brekkie. Literally sounds like a fucking wind chime. Ow. Yeah, I deserve that. I knew that was coming. Wow, I literally cut. Yeah, there we go. Don't be me. Overall, the intricate details are very well done, and for a first real go at designing a balisong, I think Paul crushed it. Each model flips uniquely but similarly, with the Lazarus having the heaviest blade and flips the most unique out of the three. They also come in multiple finishing options ranging from rough to relatively smooth. My Incept is a nice middle ground, but it does sort of feel more like smooth concrete than metal. I chose the Incept because I like the look and utility of the blade the most, because it has the most pointy pointer. The blackened look of the Abyss was very cool and very enticing, and the shinier finish and gold hardware on the Lazarus also got me to keep that one, but the almost plain kind of look of the Incept leaves it more open to modding possibilities and makes me feel less bad about potentially modding it in the future. Balance-wise, they all feel relatively neutral to like slight handle bias kind of range, and I can attest that the tip weight makes fanning feel exceptional. It feels as heavy as it is and carries momentum very nicely and doesn't come across to me as weird or awkward. Chaplains feel great, though rollovers feel a little sluggish to me, but consistently so that I can adjust to it very quickly every time I pick it up. To Will, who is the much better flipper than I am, he felt each model flipped similarly, but thought they performed great in pretty much every trick that he threw at it, but it will definitely perform better in fanning-based tricks than rollovers. I don't enjoy it quite as much as like my Seraph or Medusa. Both of these just feel a little more consistent to me. And it's just so different than something like the Cygnus that I find it kind of silly to even try to directly compare them. But that's not ultimately the point of this kind of product or this kind of video. It flips good and it's made well, but any discussion of value here kind of has to go out the window. While it does come with some top tier accessories, I have not seen anything that comes even remotely close to this kind of craftsmanship just to store the thing. But $1,000 is a ton of money. And while Paul did design and distribute the ZZYZX through his store Shop Soet, it's manufactured by JK Design, who has an interesting reputation. One of the first balisongs I fell in love with from Will's collection was his JK Design Emissary, which to this day has some of the coolest machining I've ever seen on a balisong. But JK's products most definitely come in a premium and regularly go for over $1,000. And you can't even buy most of his stuff without physically going to Blade Show or entering a lottery on his Instagram to even get a chance to be able to buy one of his products. To put pricing into perspective, just a single handle for his G10 Orca trainer costs $100 for one handle and nothing else. By comparison, the Squiddy AL from Squid Industries costs $85 for the whole thing. And don't get me wrong, the ZZYZX does definitely feel premium, but it's something that I feel could be just a little more affordable if it was made by somebody else. Though JK does have a signature flair to his machining, and despite my grievances with the pricing and some historic issues with the tuning and the way that he sells some of his products, I've always wanted to own something made by him, and I'm genuinely happy to say that I do now. But despite how much I enjoy it and everything that comes in the box, which you can really tell how much love was put into all that, there are some exceptional balisongs made out of the same materials and more features like modular balance and customization, and those cost hundreds of dollars less, like multiple Volp Pros less. But unfortunately, that's the nature of having to contract someone else to make products for you, and since JK obviously has to make a profit off of what he's selling to Paul, and then Paul has to make a profit off of what he's selling to you, that's just business at the end of the day. So while I do recommend this as a flipper, $1,000 is still a lot of money, especially if you don't really care about the accessories that it comes with. And with pricing like this, you're not getting something that's 4 or 5 times the flipping experience of something like this. That's just not how this works, especially when you factor in how crazy subjective everything in this hobby is. If any of the ZZYZX models were listed on Blade HQ, they would be the most expensive butterfly knife on the entire website and one of the most expensive knives in general. And I'm someone that fully recognizes how much work goes into these things. Anyone that judges the value of a product based just on the materials and the machining time just isn't looking at the full picture. And I respect this craft more than most. I've helped develop products myself. I've documented and watched the process being done firsthand and intimately known a bunch of different balisong creators and know how much they go through on a daily basis. But ultimately, that doesn't change the fact that products made by JK Design are some of the most expensive in the entire market, and I don't judge anyone too much for not really vibing with that pricing. But again, this is an experience. Sitting in my office, listening to the ZZYZX album while sipping on some of my favorite beer, getting a little loosey-goosey in the head, is one of my favorite things I've gotten to do. That album is so weird and so wacky, but in the best kind of way. ZZYZX is an actual town in California, but the album tells the story of going to a planet called ZZYZX. There's like these tribal people that ride pterodactyls everywhere and fight each other, and that all tells the story of this. You're not finding that anywhere else in this hobby. So that's what I find precious to me, is the journey of getting to meet Paul, making that promotional video, experiencing the album, and getting to own the knife. And that means something to me, and that experience is something I'm gonna be grateful for a long time. And if you're interested in picking one of these up, I think that you'll appreciate that experience too. Comparing this to all my other balisongs seems a little silly, but if you want to know my personal ranking of everything in my collection, which this is only like half, please help. I've now created a sortable list of the ranking of all of my balisongs that I personally own, and I did a stream on my second channel ranking all of those, and you can watch that. It got a little crazy. God, now I don't know, because it's just such a weird guy. I'm now questioning if I like it more than the Volt Pro Live Blade. I might have to amend the video a bit. It just feels really rough to me. I think it's top of A. I don't think I like it more than anything in S, which is crazy that I thought it was gonna be between the V2.5 and the Medusa, but I just don't think it is. Hey there, it's future me. I bumped it up because it's lovely and fantastic, and it deserved better, so thanks. Love you, bye. Anyway, if you own a ZZYZX, let's talk in the comments. My incept is number 92, and so that means there's only a few hundred people that own any variant of the ZZYZX, so we're a small little group here, so I would actually love to chat about it. You can follow me on all of this social media garbage at The Brandon Baker. You could comment here, you could shoot me a message there, you could let me know what you think of this new video format. We love producing our absolutely buck wild reviews, but having to spend a ludicrous amount of time producing each one of those full reviews with the crazy visual effects and intense B-roll sequences and super precise scripting and editing makes production of those videos slow, especially when 90% of that work falls to me whenever it's me reviewing something, while also producing and shooting all the videos that Will wants to do. This format will allow me to talk about more stuff in a more chill style that I still enjoy producing, especially because I just love shooting B-roll. And it means that we maybe won't always have to wait like 3 to 6 months after a balisong is released to give it a look on the main channel here. And if you want to support us, we have lots of products and affiliate codes with different companies. We have our lovely Patreon supporters whose names are all right here. You can get early access to those videos by subscribing to that, and all those shenanigans will be linked in the description. But thank you so much for watching. That's pretty much it for the moment. This has been Brandon Baker, and good luck on whatever adventures you may go on. Did you just use your old outro line from your first YouTube channel that you used to make Star Wars gaming videos on?